All right, welcome to the BellisarioSonic YouTube channel. I'm very excited to have with me the winner of the 2005 Great America Jazz Piano Competition, 2020 Steinway and Sons artist, Venezuela-born, New York City-based pianist and composer, Benito Gonzalez. Welcome to
Oh,
the
thank
channel.
you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm really excited to hear about these albums back here.
Hmm.
I did a review of this last week. Unbelievable playing on it. But
Thank you.
before we get to that, I'd love to hear about your story. You're from Venezuela, so I'm really interested to hear how you started playing music, how you got into jazz, all that kind of stuff. So,
Well, thanks for having me, bro. The
oh yeah,
reason, you know, I have music from both sides of my family, from my father and my mother's side. So when I was born, it was well defined that I was gonna be a musician, probably. Even though my brothers didn't do it, they sing and they play guitar and stuff, but they didn't do it for living. So I am the youngest from four siblings. So uh, when I was very young, I started in music when I was three, and then I played the drums, and then I learned how to play the guitar at the church. I was playing church music because my older brother brought me to the church. So I was playing every week. We used to rehearse every Friday. So we used to have the Sunday, mass. And then I used to be at the church. I became a musician and I became like a man at the church also. And the pastor used to let me go to practice in the organ when I was in my I had some hours like off from high school. My high school was like 3 blocks from the church. So everything was close by. So yeah, so I started playing drums and then I play guitar. I learned how to play a little bit of electric bass too. But
oh cool.
when I got to the piano, when I got to the organ, it was a big deal for me because I could like kind of like use all my fingers. So then the church got a piano. That's how I got into the piano. It was a little late. Maybe I was already like 10 or 11 years old when I started playing piano. Then I discovered piano players like Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock. So I started like kind of investigating how they played this wonderful music with this piano. And then I learned that in South America we have waltzes that have like uh, European harmonies, right? So we have a different kind of rhythm, but we use European harmonies. So what happened was I compared my harmonies from the Afro Venezuelan music with the harmonies of jazz or American music.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I found the links in between both of those, and I was motivated because I wanted to play. I had this fire for music in my chest, and I still do. But it's like I felt like, man, I want to do this for a living, and I will give my life to this music. And I feel like it's been a great journey. So I started piano when I was like 11, and then I had my first paying gigs when I was that age too.
Interesting. So we you is jazz very big there where you are from? Like, is it played on the
Yes,
radio, or did you know people
yes, yes,
that?
yes. Venezuela is an oil country, right? So we have back then in the 90s, we had a lot of American influence, so much. Like I used to play at the jazz club in Caracas. Like I had a salary because I used to play from Monday through Saturdays. So we had a lot of like Americans coming through and musicians who come to America, I mean to Venezuela to play. They used to come. That was the jazz club to go to. So I was the pianist for the club, and I was like 18 years old maybe. So but I was really really into learning how to play this music because I love it so much. So I was investigating and I was trying to absorb as much as I could from my peers in Venezuela and my oldest, uh, um, colleagues. So back then in Venezuela, and still, I mean, there is a lot, like we had a lot of American influence because of the oil and European too. We have a lot of like Italians. We have like Italian towns like in Venezuela. We have also the Jewish. We have uh, from Portugal. It's amazing. So in Caracas we are all mixed up, and it was a great few years to be in Caracas during that period because I learned so much.
Interesting. So then I was reading on your bio, it says that a U.S. cultural ambassador or someone saw you playing when you were visiting the United
Yeah.
States. Is that,
No, no,
tell us
no.
a little bit
No.
or
What happened was the U.S. cultural ambassador. I met him in Caracas while I was playing at the club because he got sent to work in Venezuela. So he was producing an album for a African percussionist, and they came to the club. They heard me play, and the African percussionist asked him to tell me if I was interested in playing 3 songs or 4 songs on his record. I ended up playing like 6 tunes, I think. And so they asked me. I was like, of course. I was 18 years old. I was just searching to get exposure and to learn from other musicians. But what I didn't know is that this African percussionist played with Pharoah Sanders, Jackie McLean. He came with Hugh Masekela to the States. He came and then he played with Paul Simon. He played with many people. So when we was rehearsing just percussion, African percussion and piano. He called Jackie McLean, J Mac, and asked him, "Hey, Jackie, I have a piano player in Venezuela who is killing me, and he's amazing, and you have to meet this guy." And I think Jackie told him for what he says, make sure when he come into the States to contact me, and that's what I did because
wow.
then I met Rene McLean and I started playing Rene McLean almost immediately after I came to the United States. I moved first to Washington D.C. because the cultural ambassador used to live in Arlington, Virginia. So long story short, I started playing with Rene McLean. I played with Rene McLean for like 2 years until Jackie McLean called me on my cell phone and asked me if I wanted to join his band, and I did an
Wow.
audition. I went to Hartford to the Artist Collective. We did an audition, and then after that, he told me, "Welcome to my band." He says something funny. He said, "Every time I turn around, I have a new baby in my band." Then it was great to play with him. It was short, but I got to meet so many greatest. I mean, musicians like Bobby Hutcherson. During we played in New York at the Iridium for a week, so Kenny Garrett came almost every night to see us, and then that's how we met Kenny Garrett also. So
And you played with him several years, right? Like seven
yes, I
years
did.
you played with him?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
that's awesome. So you got to meet all these wonderful people. Did you do a lot of? I guess since you kind of started off with these guys, you probably didn't do a lot of jam sessions or anything like that in New York City, where you would sit in with different people, or were you pretty much
You
off
know,
and
you
running
know
with these
what?
bands?
Yes, when I moved to New York in 2006, I think it was August 2006. I had a chance to kind of go out. I used to go out and hang out a lot at this jazz club called the Sweet Rhythm. Used to be the Sweet Basil. Remember the Sweet Basil where
Oh, sweet. Yeah, yeah,
Cedar
yeah.
Walton, Cedar Walton used to play there every week, and then Kenny Garrett used to play there every week too. I mean, they had like great bands. So I used to go there and hang out a lot with a saxophone player who gave me a lot of work. His name is Eric Wyatt. He is still around. He plays tenor. So we became very good friends, and we was spending a lot of time playing there. I used to play there every Thursdays, and it was a great run because Roy Hargrove used to come every week, and I learned so much, and that's how I end up. I play with Roy like a few things here and there, but it was a great run to be in that environment during that time in 2006, because New York, it was so hot, like the scene was strong. Roy was out, Mulgrew was out, Russell Malone used to come and hang out. Like sometimes you was playing at the jam session and I turn around and there is Mulgrew sitting there. It's
Wow. Yeah.
so crazy. I mean, Rodney Matthews was still around. I mean, it was quite heavy.
That's incredible. Were there
Yeah.
any particular things that happened when you were playing, or any valuable lessons you learned? I'm sure there are a lot that you just by observing these guys playing. But you're a big fan of McCoy Tyner, right? So
Yeah, yeah. Well, besides to being on the road with Jackie McLean and Kenny Garrett in during those years only, being in New York, I learned so much to be to have like different ears, because sometimes we tend to stay in one path, but New York taught me that I have to have my spectrum a little bit wider and open, being open and being in the moment. Because in New York, there is so many amazing artists. So you never know who is gonna come to the jam session and really play some real piano.
yeah,
So I kept myself like kind of like open that way to absorb and learn from the scene. So those years were very important to me because I was pretty fluent on playing my vocabulary already, what I used to do, but I kept myself open to kind of like to go in a different direction if I needed to, and to learn and explore different directions in music. So New York helped me to develop different directions that I use now in my shows. Like in my shows, I try to kind of like cover different directions, and New York was a real like important aspect in that uh, way of playing, because I was playing with Kenny Garrett, but we had a sound. Yeah, we had a cool sound, and we used to cover different things. But New York is wider. It's like so wider. So that's what
yeah.
I learned in New York.
So yeah, you have a very interesting phrasing when you play. What about developing the whole jazz vocabulary, and basically, like you said, you're integrating it also with these other things. So you have a very unique sound. When I hear you play, especially on this record here, what we could talk about here, is we as far as like, okay, so talking about you played with Azar Lawrence's band, right,
Yeah.
for a little while.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and
It
so
was a
that
great
was like,
run.
and that's a different type of sound for that, right?
Yeah. So well, that's a good question. I barely get to talk about this uh, in my interviews. So yeah, my playing is based in, because I love rhythm. I play percussion before any other instrument. I love hand percussion. You know, I love rhythm. I love dancing. I love the dance in music. So that's, if I don't feel the dance in music, whatever that music is like, for me it's a little, is hard. So I was very into like learning the dance in the music that I play. So when I come to jazz, I kind of like, yes, I learned the chops, I practice the phrasing, I understand the theory, I put many years into learning my voicings, the bebop language, post bop, hard bop, McCoy, Herbie, yes, Chick, Mulgrew, Kenny Kirkland, yes, of course. I put my time on that, but I didn't really transcribe any solos. What I did was I learned kind of like the rhythmical and the dance point of view of each of those individuals, piano
Oh,
players.
interesting. Yeah.
So then after that, what I did was I used my own feelings, the way I feel about it. I didn't really capture the way they felt about it. I capture, the rhythm point of view, and then I put my own feeling on it. So that way, I still phrasing like them, but it sounds like Benito,
Right. Yeah.
you know. So that's my point of view. It's the first time maybe I talk about this. It's interesting. So that's how I approach improvisation, pretty much.
Yeah, that's it. That's really interesting because a lot of people they'll transcribe the solos and all this, but yeah, you basically got the feel for it and then put your own stamp on it.
Correct.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then you played. You were also the musical director for Pharoah Sanders, right?
Yes, I did that for 5 years. I was there. Um, uh, you know, um, I met Pharoah Sanders while I was with Kenny Garrett. I was with Kenny from 2006 to 2013, and we did a recording live at the Iridium. It's called Sketches of MD, and Pharoah Sanders was a guest artist. So we met in 2008, and we clicked immediately because McCoy is my favorite. McCoy is his favorite piano player. And we talked back then. We used to talk, but he never told me that he wanted me on his band ever since we met. But he didn't want to interfere with the Kenny's band because he knew I was very committed with Kenny's. So when he found out that I left Kenny's band in 2013, he told his manager, Anna, to find me. He didn't have my number. It was years later. So he told Anna, you have to find this piano player. And he took her like maybe 2 years to find me. One day I was at the gym and I got this phone number. And then she told me, oh, wow, finally. I've been looking for you. Farrell has been asking about you. He wants to know if you want to do this tour in the summer with his band in Europe. But what he wanted me to take over the band, like to go and play with the band and just be the piano is like the is the orchestration of the whole thing. So we did the first tour. After that, we had a great few years, and I learned so much. Not I learned music, but it was a little deeper than that. It was like more like discipline and more like sharing. Like with Farrell, it's like when you play with him, you are on this state of sharing and make things happen in the most united way. It's like you have to learn how to share and be cool about it, and have a conversation like we are, and listen to the other while they speaking to you. Then when it's your time, you do what you have to do, and do it in a gracious way, the most gracious way. That was Pharoah Sanders.
Wow, that's yeah. I'm always impressed when you. I mean, you guys are. I always tell people, we. I've played music pretty much all my life, mostly blues, rock, that kind of stuff, and I'm like,
Right.
you guys are on another level when it comes to being able to play in all these different situations, these different types of music. it's very impressive. So, um, you recorded your own first album in 2004. I
Correct.
read, and I don't see that one. I can't find that one for purchase anywhere. I don't know if that's still available or not.
You have to look? Is I have a few copies, but I don't think I'm gonna sell them.
Yeah.
No, I might gonna reprint it again.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
what I gonna do is I think I saw a few copies in eBay,
Oh, is
maybe
there still? I couldn't.
used.
Yeah, I didn't see any. I looked for it.
Oh,
Starting point,
and then
right?
it's out of stock, and then it's not. They don't have any.
Yeah, it's called Starting
I
Point.
I think you can find only the MP3s in like CD Baby or Amazon or something.
Yeah, and then your second one is this one here, which I just got. This just came in. So,
You know that album. It was not properly released. It was released, but it's not. The release was not so strong. And
okay.
I've been thinking about re-release this album with the new label
Oh,
to
really?
do. Yes, because this album was not in the jazz charts. This album was not put in for the Grammys. This album was not in the radio, like on the global radio. This album was released and it was very intimate, like it was on an intimate way. And this album is so. I mean, I'm so proud of that album, bro.
Well, see, I mean, you've got an impressive lineup of players on here too. Tell us how you decided to play with these guys on this record. We'll go through these and talk
So
about them.
so so you know when I recorded, I think it was, yeah, my first album that I recorded with Asa Lawrence. We had we had a great band. It was Eddie Henderson, Esiet on the bass, and Rashid Ali last album recorded ever was that one with Asa Lawrence. Rashid Ali on drums. So the same record label, they asked me if I was interested. They approached me. I mean, I was the musical director also for Asa Lawrence. So I was doing my work. We finished the album. It was amazing. I think it's called uh, Journeys something. Anyway, that album is amazing. So that label approached me like couple of months later after we did the record and asked me if I wanted to do my own project. So, and interested enough, I had the music ready. I was ready to do an album, but I was not back then. I was not looking for a label yet. But they approached me, and I was thinking maybe I can use this label to do this album. So I didn't want to use whoever they asked me to. So I told them I will do it if I use the band I want to use. They told me, sure. Who is it? And then I called my guys up. I called Christian, Jeff. It was Ron Blake that I love his playing. It was Myron Walden is there. Um, I mean, that record, it was so easy to do because everything was so effortless when we recorded it in systems too, and
In Brooklyn.
I'm so very proud of that album so much.
Yeah, I mean, so you already knew Christian and all you knew all these musicians you had played with them before.
Yeah, well, Christian recorded in the Starting Point also,
Okay.
and with Jeff Watts, we already have playing with Asa Lawrence. So, and then Myron Walden, I met him in the scene in New York. Ron Blake also recorded in my first album. And
And
Asa Lawrence also playing in circles though. Asa is there
yeah,
he
yeah, he
plays
is. Yeah.
he plays some amazing solos there.
Yeah, I'm looking for. I just got this in. I ordered this on eBay because you can't find this one either, and you can't find the 2015 one, Dream Rhapsody. Well, let's see. You've got
Yeah, well,
this. This is the one, the Dream Rhapsody. You can't find this one. This is the one
Let me
after.
tell you a story about Dream Rhapsody. So Dream Rhapsody came about while I was on tour in Europe, and I met this great flute player composer. Her name is Sisa. So she asked me if I wanted to do a recording. so I was like, for sure. I mean, because I already, my friend who introduced us told me about her. He told me she's an amazing composer. She's a great player, and you have to work together because I know you playing and her music kind of go hand in hand. So, uh, and it was like that. We met in Bratislava. She's from Slovakia, so we met in Bratislava, and right away it was like we started talking about music and wow, what do you do? And she's like very emotional, you know. She's like, yeah, she's like, yeah, you know, I write, you know, I write for movies, I write for documentaries, and you know, and then she will look at you like in a funny way. It's like I was like, wow, I can tell she's very
Very passionate, huh?
yeah, passionate,
Yeah.
and she knows what she's talking about. I love that. So we did the recording because I was on tour. After I finished my tour, I went back there and we did the recording. We took like 5 days, so 4 or 5 days, I think. I stayed in Bratislava in this amazing house in outside in the woods, and the studio was there, and we record Dream Rhapsody. The recording Dream Rhapsody, it wasn't supposed to be my own record, but hers. But you know, on the end, she wanted to feature me because you know there is a couple of tunes that I recorded there that are mine, but we decided to keep it like that, and I'm proud of it because we won. Like there is an award there. It's like the Grammys in Europe. It's called the Esprit. So we put this album for the Esprit Awards for 2016, and it won. We won. We went to this huge thing with all the European artists, bands. It was huge. It's a theater. Man, I can't believe we won. It
That's
was
awesome.
the best album of 2016. So I'm very proud of that album, and it was a great experience to play the music of Sisa. You know, and this is something nobody knows. Also, I'm gonna tell you first time I was talking to her about doing another album, but with the symphonic orchestra of Bratislava,
Oh
and
wow.
we're gonna do that album in the Bratislava radio, because they have a huge hall, and we was talking about that a few years ago, and I gonna approach her to do that project. I think it will be very interesting, and she's an amazing composer, arranger. Oh my God! So
Wow.
you know.
So how that one I couldn't find either? Is that one available anywhere still to purchase? Because I don't.
Uh,
That's another one
the
that's.
only way is to contact her. I'm sure she has copies, you know,
Is that something?
or like Spotify maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
But you want the physical, I know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, is that something that might come out later again? Or well, let's talk
It's
about
it.
this one here. This is very
Oh
intense, intense,
wow,
intense. I
wow.
blown away by this. The
Oh, me
playing.
too.
Um, this is unbelievable. So we have to talk
Yeah,
about this. This is I mean,
yeah. Oh wow, yeah. It makes me so emotional. Um, First of all, I am so honored to being approached to do this album. So honored. It was like I was like, wow, why me? You
you know,
know, wow.
yeah.
And we had a chance to. Well, you know, I met McCoy Tyner like 2 times previously, but we had a chance to show him the album, and so he listened to the tracks. He loved them. Um he you know he wrote in the album. We played the tunes that we thought it was some of the most iconic McCoy Tyner tunes. He has so many tunes. It was hard to cover so much, but we tried to cover as much as we could.
Yeah, a lot
And
of tunes. A
and
lot of tunes.
and then we went into the studio with Esiet and Jerry. We did the album in one day. We went
One
back to
day.
back, poof, poof, back to
Wow.
back,
So
back to back.
how long? All day? How many
Yes,
takes of
yes.
each?
Yes,
Just
it was a 10-hour day, maybe. One of
wow.
those. Yeah. We took a break for lunch, and then yeah, well, they were having lunch, I remember, and I was recording the solo piano piece there, which is Naima. So they was eating lunch. I was still at work. I finished Naima and I went to have lunch. They waited for me. Then we proceed to finish the next tunes. But this is probably one of the best albums. Uh, honestly, not because I play on it, because I don't consider myself to be such an amazing pianist, but I feel like the status of this album and the way that it came out is so gracious that it's one of the best albums like ever. I mean, it's so
It's
amazing. It's like a
incredible.
gift. Yeah, I know.
Is this something that ever came out on vinyl or no? Does this only
No,
is it
on
possible that you could put it out on vinyl like you did this one?
I gonna talk to them at City Sound, Wallin City Sound, because they should. That album is still amazing. That album gave me so much work, and I still today I play "Fly with the Wind" all the time.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
it's breathtaking. That's what I I'm
thank
actually
you.
gonna do a review of this one soon. Um,
Yeah, you let me
it
know. We can talk about it, specific things.
yeah. I mean, it's breathtaking. You listen to this in the intensity and it's amazing. It's an amazing album. One of my favorites for sure. This is, yeah. Well, let's talk this one now. This one came out a couple of years ago, but now you said this one just recently came out on vinyl, which is kind of because I had the CD for a little bit, and I saw all of a sudden I saw this on eBay, and
Wow.
there's not very many. So I don't know. This is
Oof, that's amazing.
another amazing album that
Yeah.
again intense, um, breathtaking. When I did the review of this one last week, people were leaving comments. They're like, "That's one of the most intense albums I've heard in a long time." Like just the playing and the. So tell us about this because you've got a lot of great players on here too, including Sasha Mashin.
Yeah.
Played the drums. I had him on the channel about a month ago. And talked to him. So, but yeah, tell us about this album. I mean, this is
So,
smoking.
so I've been going to Moscow to perform for several years since the first time I went there it was I think 2006. I think it was to close that tour with Kenny Garrett. We performed in Moscow and it was the last concert of that tour. Then I got a chance to meet Igor Budman, which is the owner of the Budman Club, and he has so many contacts. So I became friends with them. Then I was coming to perform periodically, and one of the times I came to perform, I called Sasha Machines to play with me, and that's how we met. I did an interview for him. Then a few months later, he approached me and he asked me that he told me that he was working at a jazz label from St. Petersburg, called it Rainy Days Record. So he asked me if I wanted to do a project for this label, and I thought about it. And again, I had the music ready. I was ready to record. I didn't have a label. It's always like that. Something shows up. So uh long story short, we we started working to do this album, and we did it. I mean, we was like kind of like negotiating who was gonna play, what we were gonna do. So it was like back and forth, negotiation, until we decided to have some of my favorite musicians there. It's a really complete album. It's gonna be hard for me to top this album on my next one, but I am working on the next one. It's coming out very soon.
Oh, really? Okay, you have to
Yes,
keep me in the
yes,
loop.
yes. And now uh Jeff Tain Watts, Christian McBride again. Those are like my heroes and my friends, and I feel so lucky to have them in my albums. Nicholas Payton is oof.
Oh
I
man,
used to listen to him when I was in Venezuela.
smokes
It's,
on
it's like
here.
it's like like probably the top trumpet players today. Is We have uh, Sasha Machine plays some tracks. I mean, the album is so complete. I'm happy. Also, Josh Evans played one track and
Yeah,
play an amazing
that's really
solo.
cool. Yeah.
So "Sing to the World" is like a message. What I was thinking about this album, it was like I felt like it's the voice of what's going on in jazz in New York today. It's like I try to do it as like respecting so much the styles and putting like a huge doses of what we do in New York City. So in composition and playing, and also in the band. So I try to kind of condense everything and make that. That's why you feel like it's strong, because we condense many things and just make that like a bold statement. And that's "Sing to the World." I wanted to have an album like that, and I think we accomplished that. And it's an amazing album. It gave me so much satisfaction. I still do. It was like it got to number 2 in the jazz charts and in
Wow,
the
that's
radio.
incredible.
Yeah.
And so, how did you get it? Decide to get it put on vinyl because it comes out in 2021. I think I read is when it was
In
first
December, I
released.
was approached by the label. They told me, "Hey, Benito, we are trying to put the vinyl for Sing to the World. Are you agree?" They asked me, of course, and I was like, "For sure, I want to have that too." So they collaborate with this amazing company that is releasing many vinyls from different amazing artists. So I was like, well, yeah, it looks like they know what they're doing, and it looks like it could be very nice to have the album, not just to have it, but for many great collectors that they love to have these things in vinyl.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
a
yeah.
great present. So I was like, sure, let's do it, and I am very happy and proud. I was about to post about it. I haven't even posted about it.
Yeah, and there's two different versions. There's a black version, and then there's a green version, and this happened to be the green version that was
Yeah,
the numbered on the back here, limited edition.
right.
And this was recorded. It says it was recorded at two different places: Big Orange Sheep in Brooklyn, and then it says that there was additional recording done in Moscow.
Yeah,
So how did that happen? Did you go to both places to record, or it
that's
was?
right. Yeah,
Oh, so
no,
tell us
yeah.
a little bit about that.
So we record the main things were recorded in New York, in Brooklyn, at the Big Orange Sheep studio, great studio. Then we did some drum overdubs in Moscow, mostly drumming, because Sasha, uh, I wanted to add some stuff, some sounds, and we figured that it was gonna be probably the easiest while I was on tour around Europe. I remember I took a plane to go to Moscow, and I stay a week to finish these overdubs. And we use an amazing studio. So yeah, so that's how this album was on the making for like 2 years before we put it out.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, this I like. So there's interesting lineups on here. So when I was reviewing it, you've got these trios on here, which yourself, Christian McBride, and Jeff Watts, and there's like I think what three tracks of that particular trio, and then you've got Sasha playing drums on one of the tracks, "Sing to the World," and then you have the other tracks where you have more people on there, like "Sounds of Freedom." That you've got Nicholas Payton on there. And this bass player I've not heard of either. This
Esiet Dukong Esiet.
yes.
Yeah,
So tell us
that's
about
right. That's right. That's one of my favorite bass players in New York, bro. But he's in between now. He's in between the Bay Area and New York. Oh no, California. He's in California somewhere. I think San Jose, if I don't mistake, with his wife. His wife is an amazing drummer,
Oh really?
Sylvia Cuenca.
Okay.
So he's married to Sylvia, and he stays there partially, and then he's in New York partially, and he's one of the greatest bass players that we have in the scene in New York. So I wanted to have him because he's gracious, and he play amazing in that track.
Yeah, and then you've got, Father. You've got Nicholas Payton on that with
Oh
Christian
yeah,
McBride, Sasha Mashin, and
I
I like the
was
way everything is ordered together. The way everything flows throughout the album.
yeah, it was
Eh,
very emotional to record that album because that album had never been recorded in albums by Roy. Um, so I remember I asked Justin Robinson if it was okay. He said, "Yeah, record that, man." And because Roy was already gone, and I think he left like the previous year. So Nick Payton played beautifully on that track.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, his solo was so amazing. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that album is like a love giving. It's like it's pure love. For whoever is listening and likes this kind of music. It's like pure love giving.
yeah. It's definitely an emotional listen, and it's engaging. I say it's very engaging,
Yeah.
very intense. How did you know that this song was available to, or how did you know that it hasn't been recorded, or learn about the
Oh,
song from?
because I knew Roy Hargrove. He was my friend,
And so you
and
knew that he had this song that he wanted
yeah,
to record.
because
He never.
we used to play that song. He teach me how to play this song at the jam session at Sweet Rhythm.
Oh wow.
He used to come every Thursday. So every Thursday, he will show me one song. Usually they will be standards, but this time he showed me this tune, and I was like, "This tune is beautiful." He said, "Yeah, it's yeah." He told me it's my tune, and then I said, "Wow, and what's the name of it?" He said, "Father," and then I said, "Oh, it was written for your father," and then he said, "No, for the real one,
Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah.
for God."
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's really cool that you got to record that. And then the other one on here that had never been recorded before was Jeff Watts' tune called 412, right?
yeah, because Jeff is an amazing composer. I mean, besides all we know about him is he plays a lot of drums. He's an amazing drummer, but his writing is like quite amazing. He's a great band leader too. But I wanted to have his sound on in the album because I wanted to integrate kind of like colors. But even though that composition is not so isolated with the sounds. I mean, I choose the tunes, so we have some kind of like lineage in the album, So that's an amazing tune. 412 is because he's from Pittsburgh, and that's the Pittsburgh area code.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah. Then you had the one track on here, which I again, I'm always learning, discovering new musicians because there's so many great players playing now.
right.
And for years, years ago, I was always into all the old records. So all the old guys that, of course, we all love that you guys have learned from, all the Blue Note stuff or Riverside. And over the last decade or so, I've started getting into more of the current artists because I believe in supporting and help keep jazz alive by supporting working musicians and independent record labels, which so it's very important to me. But I'd never heard Josh Evans until I heard this Flatbush Avenue. And what's interesting is if you listen to him play, he plays spectacular, completely different sound than Nicholas Payton, and
Yeah,
you can hear that they're two different styles of playing.
totally, totally. I love Josh. Uh, I met him when he was a kid. When I was auditioning for Jackie McLean, he was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
That's
he was probably 14 years old. He was already playing a lot of trumpet. He's so talented. He's so like gifted. Yeah, so yeah, I wanted to have him in there because I knew he would bring the sound I needed for that song.
And so when you write these, Benito, when you write these songs, do you already have in mind the players who
Yes,
will play on them?
yes. I usually have a sound in my mind that I want to accomplish, and I imagine the players uh in the track already because they play with me in the past, and I know certain compositions will sound more complete with these players than other.
And when you write the songs, do you send them then to them in advance if they're your originals? Do you
Yeah,
send them to or
sometimes if the songs have a lot of like sections, I will send the tunes. Otherwise, we just go through it like with that. We did rehearse like a day or two before we went in the studio. But when the songs have like sections, yeah, I send them in advance for sure.
so like on this album here, you said you guys went and did this in one day, which I don't understand how anybody would do that because to me, and when I listen to this, it sounds very complex. There's a lot of different rhythm changes and stops and all this stuff going on. Uh, did you prepare to when you did this one? Did you guys rehearse for this as well, and then go in and hit it in one day, or how? I'm just curious. It just blows my mind that you can go in and make a record like that in a day.
Well, interesting enough, this trio we played some gigs before we actually thought about doing that McCoy tribute. But what happened was because I am such a huge McCoy fan, and Jerry Gibbs also, and Esiet also. So probably in the show we will play one McCoy tune, and that was Al was the bass song of the set. So we figured, man, since we love McCoy so much, we all love McCoy. Why don't we do this? And then Jerry found the connections to do it with City Sound, with Wally City Sounds, the jazz label, record label. And I think we waited like 2 years or something to make this album before we actually went in the studio to do it. But when the day came, we just did it. But we also play concerts. Like we play, we play for McCoy. We play, the South Pack, South Jersey Performing Arts Center. They did a tribute to McCoy Tyner while he was alive, and we opened that trio from that album opened that concert, and McCoy had a chance to see us, and he
Wow.
was happy. I heard, yeah. So that's how we did it, and we was very fluent in that concept. I mean, the three of us, we know that concept very well because you have to be a fan and you have to love it, to able to accomplish that kind of sound. So the three of us, we were on the same kind of like direction towards that sound, and we went in the studio, and it was so effortless. I mean, we killed it like back to back songs, you know.
With just one or two takes and that's it. You pick the best
That's
one and
right.
that's it.
Yeah,
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 it's
yeah,
incredible. That always
yeah, man.
amazes me. How is
And
it,
Jerry did a great job with the post production. Like he added some percussion, and then he did the mix, the mastering, the edits. It was amazing.
yeah, this is a really nice sounding CD. Again, if this comes out on vinyl, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, the CD and the vinyl they do sound a little bit different. So I had the CD first. I got this very good sounding vinyl.
I love the vinyl though.
Yeah, I do too.
For me, I love the vinyl because it sounds like you have the players playing around.
Yes,
Like
it's a very very warm resonant sound.
yes, yeah, I
Um,
love that. I love the sound. I bought a vinyl just to listen to that album.
yeah, so yeah, you probably got these. They probably send you some, right? Hopefully, you
They will.
get.
They are on the way because they come from Saint Petersburg, so they are shipping those.
Yeah, that's
They're
it.
gonna send
That's
me a few copies. Yeah.
yeah. And then what? So tell me a little bit about. I'm always curious. I play a little piano. I'm not very good, but
Yeah.
if you have time,
Hold on.
what?
Sorry, taking
And
some
let me
water.
know how much time you have because I can
No,
probably
I'm
talk your
okay.
ear off.
I'm okay.
Yeah. But on playing piano, practicing piano, um, what do you have for recommendations for people that are getting into playing jazz on the piano? I know that's kind of a big question, but are there anything that you recommend as far as getting the voicing and technique down? Chord, shell voice, or different voicings? What do you recommend to get started?
I always recommend to learn first how to get a good sound. I think the instrument is the most important is to accomplish a good sound and decent sound in the instrument, which means that for piano players, we have to accomplish that by practicing the technique books very slow, but so slow, like in 40.
Oh, really? Oh, so
I did that for like years. Like when I was in Venezuela, I started it. So you can that way you can take advantage of the weight of the key. Otherwise,
yeah,
you're gonna be just doodling around, and it doesn't really give you the impact that you need to able to accomplish a good sound. It's all for the sound. Then there is levels, you know. Then after that, the technique. Um, you have to listen to a lot of styles, as much music as you can to kind of develop some have some ear training,
right.
because what improvisation is really is just it's just pure ear training. You have to train your ear to hear things quickly and react in the spot. So it's all about ear training. And then the third thing is to learn how to listen to your colleagues when you are in the stage. How to interact with them and how to give them what they need. I love comping for horn players because I learned how to comp by being on the road for many years. And now is for me it's like I enjoy it so much when I come for somebody who is an amazing soloist and they accomplish an amazing level of consciousness in improvisation by by me comping. So it's
Mm,
amazing. It's
yeah.
an amazing feeling. So to start on piano, I will say to practice very slow, the hand on journey, very slow.
Yeah, that's and then what do you think about the state of jazz now? It's an interesting topic that I think is interesting because you still have a lot of people that this has always been the case. You know, when you had the early jazz New Orleans players, when Charlie Parker came along and Diz came along, and they were like, "That's not real jazz. You know, that's too far out." And then the bebop and hard bop stuff became the real jazz, kind of, if you will. And then you had people like Chick Corea come along and do this Return Forever stuff. That's not really jazz. That's kind of getting too far. You know, uh, what is your feeling on that? What constitutes jazz and kind of the state of where jazz is today?
Well, you know, the music is always changing, and for some reason we just have to be in the moment for that. Um, I can't say that it's the same as the '90s when I on the late '90s when I moved to the United States or like early 2000s. It has changed a little more. So if you look decades, back, even centuries back, when the classical music, you notice that the music is always changing. I don't know if I can say to evolving. I mean that word. I don't know if that word really applies when we talk about improvised music, because you can hear something improvised by Chopin, or
Right. That's not
or by
jazz. Yeah.
Mozart, and it's like the most amazing improvisation. So, but let's say that the music is always changing, and we just have to learn how to blend with the changes. In that case, if we are around, we are part of that change. Um, I feel like in many ways, the new players, they bring a different energy, they bring a different fresh idea to the music, and that's how it is. We have to find mentorship for sure. I mean, in my case, I've been lucky to be mentored by some of the greatest musicians, and that helps a lot because you learn how to like really uh uh play music, not only play music but also the business of it, and also how to run a show, how to run a festival, or how to do a tour, how to get your concerts together. And there is so many things outside of music that are part of the sound. What you're talking about of the change,
Mm.
it's not just playing. It's like there is so much on the top. Sometimes the industry needs a boost, and then they have to have somebody. So it doesn't mean there is bad music. It's just that it's changing. It's like constantly changing. And we learn the tradition. We know how to play the tradition. So
Yeah.
we can use that in our advantage. Like I do, for example, I play in my shows. I play tradition. I play hip hop. I play McCoy. I play chic. Now with my trio, with Buster Williams and Lenny White, we covered those concepts because they play with the real people. They are legends. And I am just there learning. I am a student. So we cover that stuff. We cover Chic, we cover McCoy, we cover my music, my own originals. And it's amazing. It's an amazing journey every time we go in the stage with this legend.
Yeah, I've heard that in talking to different jazz musicians, they talk about maybe some. It's important to understand the basic jazz language before you step out and start doing something that's more advanced or avant-garde, if you will. And so, do you think that's important to go back and understand maybe these classic piano players of the hard bop era before you move up to the post bop and that kind of thing?
Um, yeah, you have to have a high level of understanding um, music. I won't say you have to listen to bebop or any of that, but if you have to have something to communicate, meaning that when the avant-garde guys Ornette Coleman, or
There,
Don
Dolphy.
Poole, Eric Dolphy, they had a story to tell. You can't just pick up your horn and start playing like that.
Yeah, right, right.
You have to live your life that way and have a story to tell. So usually those guys have a really specific way they live their lives, like Thelonious Monk, and that's what he communicates. That's what he plays. So when we talk about styles that if we have to play hard bop, bebop, and then avant-garde because you have to play this first, I don't know if I am so. I can't agree with that. I think that yeah, well, you have to learn music, right? We have to learn the basics. We learn bebop, we learn blues, we learn, Bill Evans, all of that. Then, hopefully we can make it our own,
Right,
you
yeah.
know. But then what we're gonna play is what we live, the way we live, our experience, our own experience in life. And if it's avant-garde, if we live our lives in an avant-garde way, I am sure the music is gonna sound like that, and it's gonna come out like that, and you're gonna have all those hard bop, bebop, all of those influences in that music. So I think those guys that you mentioned, the avant-garde, uh, amazing artists, that's the way they approach it. You have to live and put your life in the music, and if your life has hard bop, bebop, all of that, it will come out for sure. So it's like that. It's not so much that we have to learn some specific things before we can also play avant-garde. No, no, I don't see it that way.
But you have
You
to
know,
have
because
something to.
Thelonious Monk before Monk, there was no many bebop players. It was Monk and Bud Powell
But
maybe.
Powell, yeah.
You know, there was a few guys only. So Monk came out with this concept because it was the way he lived his life.
His compositions sounded unique. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
This
completely.
can, and yeah, so that's I find that interesting. And then as far as the state of jazz now, I think a lot of people are like, oh, jazz is dead. We don't have it's not the same as it was back in the 50s or 60s or whatever. And I completely disagree. I think that we have a great. I mean, as far as the people playing now, a lot of them are maybe even technically better players than some of those guys. But it's not just technique, and that's another thing I wanted to ask you as far as technique goes. In other words, you can play the piano fast. You see classical pianists, people that can just play so fast.
Yeah.
But there's another thing about being musical on the instrument, which you are very musical, and you have all these different rhythm changes and different ways that you phrase. Can you talk a little bit about that, the difference between technique and musicality?
Yeah. There is a lot into that. Like, it is challenging to go to school and trying to play in that level just by going to school. You have to have some other things in your plate, or there is, unfortunately, I don't know if it's unfortunately, but there is, you know, smart players, talented players, and God gifted. So sometimes you have to think about that when it comes to certain musicians. But I can talk about my own case, which is, um, you know, I tour constantly, and I was required to have certain sound to do my job, my job as an accompanist. So in the beginning, I felt a little uncomfortable, but being put in that position. But when I start feeling comfortable in that uncomfortable place, I started finding myself. And at some point, I did find myself, fortunately. And that means that when you find yourself, you find all the links. So to be lyrical, you have to find yourself. How you find yourself, you have to be put in hard, you know, situations. No hard meaning that it's like you're struggling, no, but meaning that you have to be pushed. You have to be pushed by the greats, or by the people who created, or like someone who learned with the creators, because they know all those tricks. So when you are pushed that way, they will leave you. After a year, you will be in a higher place and comfortable in that. That means that you are now, a world class, because, you know, I always say that I didn't go to college. My college was Jackie McLean's college, Kenny Garrett College, Pharoah Sanders College, Asa Lawrence College. So, so I think that once you find yourself, those things become so natural, like playing what you're saying, playing lyrical, uh, playing expressive, playing pianissimo, playing all these different colors and textures, you know, because there is so much music out there to be inspired from. So the only way to kind of like grab from a little bit from each is when you find yourself and you know what you need. It's like when you go to the store, you take a few things here and there, and you take what you need because you know that you have your sound. and you know how to maneuver your sound when you work with these amazing musicians. So I recommend all the musicians, piano players mostly, to reach out to the legends, because they have a lot to say, and to go to their concerts and listen to them, talk to them, because that way you can kind of like understand where they come from and where all that amazingness come from. Playing with Buster and Lenny gave me a better idea of being around Miles Davis, for example,
Mm.
or Buster, who was around Herbie Hancock for so many years, and he played with many people. He played with McCoy too in the 70s. So, it's just a dream come true for me, man. So it is.
Yeah. So do you think that mentorship is very important? I remember I was talking with Gerald Cannon, bass player.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and he was
Amazing.
talking about how just one little thing that was told to him by somebody on how he was playing the bass, one little move where he put his fingers on the bass changed everything for him. Just one recommendation. So, um,
Yeah, I can give you like an example on that on my journey. Like, you know, the first year from with Kenny Garrett was challenging for me because I was kind of getting the sound of the band together. And Kenny is very specific with the piano chair. He's so specific. So, you have to have certain qualities to be able to play in that band. So basically, what really kind of like opened my head to be a better companist, like to comp, it was in one day we were in Spain, and I remember we were doing this sound check, and we used to back then we used to play the acoustic piano and a Fender Rhodes with a keyboard on the top, because we had like hip hop, we play fusion with Kenny's a lot of different styles. So um, I started playing this blues and the Fender Rhodes. Then Kenny came and sat in the piano and started comping behind my solo. When I hear that comping, he gave me like all those links that I needed.
oh, interesting. Yeah.
So after that, I didn't say a word, but I was just feeling what he was doing. I was like, oh, that's what he wants. After that, it was a wrap. My comping went from like 10 to 80 or 90.
Interesting. So yeah, all these little lessons. Do you think that that's becoming less prominent to have mentorships, and because you have a lot more schools teaching jazz now, so you have a lot. I noticed, especially at least in
Yeah.
Europe, but you have a lot of these students that go to college, they study jazz, and they start playing with each other, and they start forming their bands right while they're in college. But do you think that whole mentorship thing is kind of getting lost, or do you think it's still there? I
I
mean,
think any kind of mentorship is important. It
yeah.
doesn't matter what it is, but when it comes to jazz, you know, the honest truth about it is that yes, you can learn to be a musician at a school, like any of these colleges, but it will leave you very a little far away from what really where you have to be, like in terms of the sound of the real essence of that music. So, um, in my case, I think, like you say, because you asked me if he's getting lost, the mentorship, I think it is because the legends are leaving us. So while the legends leave, they take with them all these secrets and all these tricks that we need. And if you don't ask them, they won't tell you. That's how it is.
Right.
So, I always tell my students to go and listen to the legends and ask them questions. Ask them what you need, how you come here, how you play this phrase, you know, and try to go to all their gigs and ask them. When they see you that you come once or twice, they will be fine with you to ask them that, because they know that you are trying to learn and trying to support, So mentorship in a school is cool, it's okay, but I think that musicians today, they have to reach out to the legends to kind of get closer to the real essence of and to the real sound of this music.
Right. And so do you think there's a reluctance somewhat of musicians to take over that because, it gets handed down? So someone like yourself, Christian McBride, you guys are becoming the legends. You guys are becoming the guys that are now, are going to have to fill in these places. Do you think that that's people are reluctant to do that, or how do you view that as far
Well,
as
well, what happened is there is no many people with that. That's what's going on. No many people have that. Uh, I mean, it's just is the truth. I mean, there is just very few, the ones that you mentioned, and that's pretty much it.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think you think that's
So
always been
when
the
it
case. You have
yeah, when it comes to schools, yeah, they have good teachers, but the essence of this music, you can't really teach that. It's difficult. You can teach, okay, well, to send them to transcribe Charlie Parker and then give them a couple of tips.
right,
That's not it.
right. Yeah, so I guess what I'm asking is that this has to continue on because Louis Armstrong learned from King Oliver. King Oliver. I mean, if you go all the way back, you have basically different
It is.
generations that
It is.
come
It
up.
is continuing. It is continuing, but the scene is a little bigger now.
Yeah,
There is just the few cats around. Kenny is still around. He played with Miles, with Goody Shaw, Freddie Hubbard, Art Blakey, Terence Blanchard still around.
yep.
We lost Wallace Roney, who was amazing, who was
Mm.
one of those mentors. There is Buster Williams. There is Lenny. We
George
have
Coleman, George Coleman, right?
George Coleman. We still have those who have like a lot of information. So the thing is bigger now. So it's like it's difficult to find the goodies. You can find them and in the music, but you have to just to look for the good stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You have a few of those on the back there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because there's a whole nother group of people that are going to be coming up that are considered legends. I mean, you've got Winton, Branford, you've got people
Right.
like yourself, you've got Christian McBride, I mean, there's a lot of people that have been around. Eric Alexander, you guys are now. I mean, I'm not saying you guys are old, but you guys are getting where you've been around for quite a while, and you'll be moving in, to where you're going to be the guys that are going to have been around the longest here, not too long, and then
Correct.
there's going to have to be that same thing that gets handed on, and then the next group that comes up. So yeah, I just it's definitely interesting because when you go back and look at the whole history of jazz, it never stops.
Right.
It's always continued on. So
Right.
well, before we go, I know I'm tying you up here, but before we go, tell me about you got some tours coming up. I think you're playing Texas. You're going to Mexico, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a few things uh, coming up. I This concert in Texas is amazing. It's a new jazz festival, and I am happy they invited me. It's in McAllen. I leave tomorrow, actually, tomorrow morning. So, but then I go to Mexico for like a week and a half of concerts in different places. Then after that, I'm gonna come straight to Boston to play at Scholars. After that, I have to go to Colombia to perform in Medellin, this amazing club there, which is the first time me playing in Colombia. I am looking forward
Oh,
to it.
really? How cool.
Yeah. And so after that, I have a few things in New York. I'm supposed to go to Korea, but I am not sure if that's solid yet. Then after that, I have a stuff. Uh, I'm gonna go to Canada. I'm gonna go to back to Italy towards the end of July. I'm gonna go to San Francisco in August to the Black Cat.
Oh
I'm
wow, so
gonna
you're
go
busy.
to I'm gonna go to in September. You know what's interesting? In September, they are putting the McCoy Tyner's quartet back, and they call me to play on it. It's
Oh
Gerald
really?
Cannon, Gary Bartz, Francisco Mela, and myself. We're gonna have some gigs. So I am so honored to be there. It's a big responsibility, but I feel very honored to be there.
And where's
So
that going to
we're gonna
be? Where's that going to
in
be at?
Boston. In
Okay.
Boston, we're gonna start, but we're gonna do a few things out there. So you will see that.
And
You will see it. It's early, we want to start early September, but mid September I'm gonna go to Argentina to Buenos Aires with Lenny and Buster. I mean, we have with Lenny and Buster, we have through the year we have like a lot of stuff coming up. So I'm looking forward to keep learning and keep my journey with this legend.
that's
You
awesome.
know.
Any chance of getting down south, Nashville, Atlanta, any of those places? Nobody ever comes
Oh,
down. No one comes down to see us.
I gonna check with the Velvet Note,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
and
yeah.
then also to in Savannah to the jazz. I forgot the name of that club. There is a nice club in Savannah.
Cool.
So
Yeah, well, I definitely we need to get more jazz down here. We have we don't get them very often here in Birmingham. You got to drive somewhere. And if we do get them, they're going to be bigger acts that are like a larger auditorium or something. We only get
that's
one or
right.
two a year, but we'd love to be able to see you somewhere here near here or somewhere.
Thank you. Of
Yeah, so I appreciate you joining me, Benito, and talking with
course,
me and
man.
spending the time. And
No problem.
when's your next album come out? You don't know yet, or
It should be towards the end of the year.
okay? Is it gonna be on vinyl and CD? Are you already planning
Yes,
on that?
yes, yes.
Okay,
You're gonna see the vinyls. When it come out, and I can't wait to share that. It's gonna be one of those uh, masterpieces.
awesome. Well, I'm gonna have you back on. We'll talk about that when we get closer. Let me know. I'll stay in
Yes,
touch with
indeed.
you. And
Thank you for having me.
yeah, you're more than welcome. And it's been wonderful having you on. And then hopefully we get this on vinyl here at
Yes,
some
indeed.
point. Okay.
Thank you,
All right,
man.
Benito. Let you go. We
Take
hit the
care.
stop here.